So my first video for this is going to be a short video on the Gumball and just using it on a single geometry. How do you copy and move and rotate and stuff like that. Then I'm going to do a follow-up video where you're actually modifying geometry with it. And I'll show you kind of where that becomes really useful for your design process. So to get started, I'm just going to create a box, and feel free to follow along with me in real time on this one, but it's not necessary if you like to kind of just watch. But for those of you who are more tactile learners, feel free. It's not all that intense. So the Gumball, it's the next feature in this, bar of nightmares at the bottom of the program. It's right next to Smart Track on the right side, Gumball, right there. So when you click on Gumball, you won't see anything right away. But, and you've seen this already, I've used it a couple times, I just haven't explained it yet. When you click an object, this thingy shows up. This thingy has 3 arrows, a couple of anchor points, and then it's got 3 arcs, and they all mean different things. So for us, when you look at the orientation of the model, and oh, weird, that's really odd. Okay, so when you look at the orientation of the model and the orientation of the X, Y, and Z axis in the bottom left corner, mine looks funny right now for some reason. What you'll find is that they correspond to the coordinate system, right? So the world coordinate system has the X, Y, and Z axis and the directions. That can be modified by modifying the Gumball for that particular object. So what is it used for? The very simple explanation is that it's used for moving, copying, rotating objects, and it's a more tactile system than just typing in the information that you need, right? Or activating a move command when you're only moving a very simple direction. So what it looks like is if you click on an arrow and drag, it moves that object along that axis. It'll go in any direction, X, Y, or Z. If you single click on an arrow, it'll ask you for a magnitude because it already has direction. It just needs a magnitude. You tell it how far to go, 5 feet, it'll go 5 feet. Same in the Z, 5 feet or 20 feet. Also, on the subject of arrows, if you hold Alt, it'll make a copy. So if you hold Alt and you click and drag, it'll just drag off a copy however far you pull it. If you hold Alt and click on the arrow and you type in 20 feet, it'll make a copy however far away along that axis. Are you guys finding this to be incredibly helpful so far?
Can you repeat the last 2 things about Alt?
Yes, yeah. So Alt is going to be your copy feature. Just recapping here. Alt and click and drag will pull however far along that axis you pull and make a copy of it. And Alt and click will create a copy whatever specified distance away from the origin. Good recap?
How would you reset your box to the ground floor if you moved it in the Z direction?
Resetting it to the ground floor. Well, it depends. If you want to move it back to the ground floor, typically what I do is I just move it back to the origin. So turn project off, click its corner, and then type in 0, 0, 0. And then I can pull it off. That's a good question. There are probably better ways, though, too. If you need to, let's say, let me explain it this way, too. If I have it attached to the side of my model, and I accidentally slid it up, and I have no idea how far up it went, that's when you would turn project on and use the move command. So when I turn project on and I go into the side view, activate the move command, now I can grab it anywhere on the bottom of that box and hold shift and slide it down until it intersects with the base plane of some other geometry. Make sense? Yes, no? Shift locks to the ortho track. Smart track. Okay, so talking more about the gumball. The anchors are going to be extrusions features. And I actually don't really use them all that much, so I'm going to kind of play with them and then explain what they do. So you just saw that I grabbed the green anchor and I drag it, and it elongates in profile that model. I'm going to just play around with Alt and see what that does. So Alt and drag makes a copy and makes it smaller. And Control, click and drag, that just changes where the point is. Okay. Okay. Now, the other feature is the arc. The arc is pretty cool because it's your rotate function. Take a look at your top, front, and right side views. So the top, front, and right side views you'll see have a blue arc, a green arc, and a red arc. That just means that that's the axis that it's going to be rotating on. And you can see the correlation here in perspective because the top view, right, the z-axis, that's where your top view camera is coming from. And the arc around that is blue. So it's going to rotate in the x and y direction. Or rotate around the z-axis. That's what that means. So that works the same way. If I click and drag, it'll very casually just rotate however far I pull it. Click 1, it'll ask you how many degrees you want to rotate it. So if I do 13 degrees, it'll rotate 13 degrees, right? And also, just like anything else with the gumball, if I hit Alt, hold Alt, and click on it, and rotate it 45 degrees, it makes a copy. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let me just try something here because I don't really use these features. But this white axis with the white orb at the end, or white circle, if you click that, it brings up a little menu. I don't know what everything here does. Relocate the gumball means you can just pull it from one point to another. Oh, weird. And give it 3 new axes. So you set a base point and the new x and y axis, and I guess you could do the z too, if you need to. That one's more advanced. Reset, we'll put it back in the original position. Align to C-plane is actually pretty interesting. So if I align to C-plane, it matches the world. If I hold on. If I hit Control and rotate this, it's going to rotate the gumball. And then I can click on the white icon and say align to C-plane. Oh, it didn't do it. Oh, align to world. That's what I want to do. Align to world, and it'll go back. Making sense now? So where that's useful is kind of more advanced. Don't worry about that too much, but know that it's there. And I guess that's all you need to know. Settings. You can change the colors if you want. Sizes and stuff. You can play around with that if you want, but I've actually never really changed it. I find it to be pretty good like this. Okay, so questions on the Gumball. I will say this. The most important features to you right now are move, copy, rotate, and rotate copy. You're going to use those all the time. So I'm going to also go into a couple more features about modifying geometry with the Gumball in the next video, but I want to take a break.